probably in all types of blade. So we have to balance the surface of the blade on the paper, smooth sandpaper before we sharp. But we now discover that the sandpaper sandpaper wear out all the ring on the surface and make the surface to be this flat. And as you can see now, since the surface is flat, the essence of that ring was to balance the cutting blade with the comb blade, right, to give it the proper balancing so the blade could cut properly. But now as it stands, the ring is out due to wear on sandpaper, and now it can no more balance. So even if this blade is cut, as you can see, the surface here is glittering, is sharp, but it can't cut. Why? Because what the company put on this blade, that's the original format or the original form of this blade, the precisioning of this blade has been worn out by this roughness of the sandpaper, right? So it can no more balance on this blade, so it can't cut even when it's sharp, right? So this thing also happens with bring the other blade, let them see. Bring the other one of the one of yesterday, bring it now. Good. So it also happens with this. So we also have the same problem with this. So this was the one we did yesterday, and you see the ring is out. They are the same blade. The three blades are the same, you can see. Now the difference is that this one has ring on the surface. These two, the rings are out, right? And these blades are properly sharp, and they are supposed to cut because they are sharp, but they can't cut. Why? Because they can no more lap with the comb blade, right? They can no more lap due to the absence of this ring. This ring you are seeing here, right? So that's it. So the advice now is when you are sharpening and you see all these blades, probably like the trimmer blades and this type of W mark blades that has rings, probably you don't have to do it on sandpaper. That's the observation. Don't balance the flatness of the surface on sandpaper. Why? Because if you do that, this roughness of the sandpaper will wear this balancing surface, which is this ring you are seeing here. And when it wears it out, probably your blade might not cut even when it's sharp, right? So that's it. So don't any blade like this that has ring like this, the what I'm calling ring is this double pattern you are seeing on the surface of this blade, right? So you don't need to balance it on some people, just sharpen it directly with a diamond stone. But others, you can balance it with the sandpaper, or probably you can leave it. That is if it's working for you. For the comb cutting blade, you don't need to balance it, you just leave them, right? Just leave them and balance only the big one, right? Because if you check properly, it's only the big one that rubs, it's only the small one that rubs on the big one back and forth, right? That makes it to dig in a little like this. As you can see, dig in a little like so. You have to balance it, but mostly you may not want to balance the cutting blade, right? Only balance the big one. So let's see. What I'm saying is that these two, they are bad now because the rings are due to some people wearing. Now you have to bring out another blunt blade to sharpen only this small one without balancing the surface, without have to rub it like this on the sandpaper first for balancing. We just sharpen direct, and as I'm talking to you, the clipper is cutting professionally. Just bring out that clipper, let them see, and that brush, or bring a little hair so they can see. So if you watch the previous video, this is the Kiki blade, right? So this was cutting, but it wasn't cutting professionally, right? So we have to get another blade that is blunt, that still has ring on it. We sharpen it without balancing it on sandpaper, and the blade is cutting, moving more professionally than the one that we scrape on sandpaper first. So that's it. So you can check here. See, here is cutting, right? Now let me go. Here is cutting, right? You see, all the edges are cutting professionally, right? So that's what we are trying to say, right? So you don't need to, because sometimes the blade might sharp very well, but it will not cut because the balancing surface is off. You see, it's off, right? So whatever you need to do, you have to try as much as you can not to touch, especially the ring blade, touch the surface on the sandpaper for balancing. You can only do that to the comb blade, which is the big blade, right? Thank you. Just drop the clipper. So we're just trying to make this video to be more, educating and more understandable, right? So now see this blade. Now I have to balance it first. Why? Because a lot of the time this blade gets very blunt and barbers will still want to be using it, and because of that, why they still use a blade that is blunt, they try to pack it or try to adjust it with whatever to make the blade still cut. Sometimes it causes the small blade to dig it a little, and when it digs it a little on this surface, as the cutting surface, it will make the blade to go inside. It will deform the original precision surface of the blade. So what we do now is we balance it, right? But it's not every blade we balance, just like I said earlier. Don't balance the small one, especially the blade that has rings on them, right? So that's it. So I balance now. I go. You don't need to use force. Apply too much force. Just a little pressure. Because if you apply too much force, your blade will wear very fast. You see? Now see why I told you guys that this blade duck in a little. Have you seen how this place is white? Have you seen this white point? It shows that indeed the blade duck in a little, because everywhere touched very well, but here is inside, right? So this place now, if you were to sharpen the stone, it would take you a longer time to sharp, right? Because it will have to go in a little to balance the whole surface, have an even surface before it will cut, right? It will sharp. So what we do, we just have to balance with some paper first. So we turn it. So let's see now. We've seen that place is closing up a little. So if you check this other side, it has no, this other side, this other extreme, it has no dog hole there, but here it still has. So you just go a little. I have to do it until the surface is flat, right? So you don't need to do too much. As you can see, it's getting flattened. That deep, white stuff you guys were seeing here is no more. You just left the little. If you check, just left the little. So we go. So what I'm doing is trying to balance the surface of this blade, right? Trying to balance the surface before we go sharp. Right, so if you see, it's already balancing. So let's do one more time. Don't apply force on it, a little pressure, so that the surface of the blade will not wear out, right? So as you can see, it's okay now, but let's just touch for the last time. You can see I'm using a smooth sandpaper, right? Using a smooth sandpaper, right? So as you can see, the surface is okay now. So let's sharpen this clipper blade now. But before we sharpen, we have to make sure that our diamond stone is clean, because when it's like this, it's muddy. So when it's muddy, it has clogged the surface of the stone with the particles of the powder, so the blade will not sharpen very well, because the friction is very, very minimal. So touch one drop. Like I said, the drop don't have to be too much, because when there is much oil, it will reduce friction, and when it reduces friction, it means the stone is no more coarse, so it cannot sharp again due to high presence of oil on the surface, right? So the oil has to be minimal, probably one drop or two little drops. So we'll go. We are seeing it's done. Trying to set my blade holder so it will not, the knot will not be touching on the surface of the stone. Because when it's touching, it will cause the blade to not to have a proper balancing, right? So you see, just clean the surface and see the surface is almost neat. So just one drop. The oil don't have to be too much, because when it's too much, if you put too much oil, it means you'll be wasting your powder. You put too much powder, because at the end of the day you have to make it go equal. What's sharpening this blade is the quietness of the stone due to the presence of powder on it, right? And the oil is helping the powder to be retained on the surface of the stone, not just the stone, right? You just have to apply little powder. Why? Because the surface still seems oily, so apply little powder. So what we now do now is have to clean it a little. Then we apply again. Why are we cleaning it? Because we don't want the surface to be clogged with a lot of particles, so that it will not alter the sharpness of our blade, right? So make it go evenly. It's too dry, just touch little. See, I'm trying to balance everything, because right, so right, so I think we just have to touch it for the last time, right? Just apply a little, one drop, apply a little. So let's see the cutting effect of this blade. Let's test it and see. So that's it, the blade mark blade. Let's see the cutting effect of this blade. So bring that clip and come. So that's the only one left, because the small one that was supposed to go with it, got bad due to the disappearance of the ring. So this is the one, another small one that came with this one. So we sharpened earlier, so we tested it, so it went well, which you all saw in this video. So we're just trying to test this one now with the previous one we sharpened earlier, the cutting blade we sharpened earlier. So on the setting, in the settings. Apply it. Done. That is cutting. So let's test this other side. That is cutting. That is cutting, right? That is cutting. So the blade is cutting very well. So you all saw that. Just pick those hairs for me. Let me just test the hair. So he's trying to get some hair on the floor for me, so we can test it, because you just want everything to be live, right? So that's some hair. I have to fold it all together to have a proper thickness. You see, right? Let's test this other edge. You see, let's test the center. You see? So I don't know what you guys want to say in this video. You just have to, whatever you got to say on the comment section. Let's bring it down to low. So that's it. Like it's lower. Now, what happened earlier was, like I said, with those blades, these two blades, like I said, the ring I showed you people earlier, was removed, worn out due to the sandpaper we used. So I would advise, if you are sharpening clipper blades, you can sandpaper the comb blade to flatten the surface, but do not sandpaper the cutting blade. Because sandpaper the comb blade, but do not sandpaper the cutting blade. Why? So that you will not alter the precisioning surface of the blade. Alright, or probably any blade that has ring, right? Don't sandpaper it, because these two blades, if you check, they are very sharp from side view, and even when it's sounding on clipper, it sounds very cool, because any blade that is not sharp will be making a lot of noise, right? But it sounds very cool, but it will not cut. Why? Because the lapping ring has been wiped out. So thank you for watching. This is Saloon Affairs.